Okay, it's starting, but I don't see it. Let's make this larger. Okay, there we go. Hey, hey. You know what? I think I'm gonna go live on my Instagram too. Close unused applications. All right, so let me close everything I'm not using because it says I am experiencing some issues here. So give me a minute to close everything else. This is actually my first time using my MacBook to go live, so uh, okay, closing everything, closing everything. Bam, bam, bam. Where are we at? Okay, still going live. All right. So just playing around with this. I see there is a viewer, but it doesn't tell me who the viewer is. So when you are viewing, I want you to give me some feedback. Drop some comments. Say what's up. Give me a second to set up this Instagram live as well. I got a story to tell. I hope you guys can hear me good. And people have been asking, mostly flight attendants, but some people who kind of, check in with me from time to time have asked a question. So I'm going to answer it. I'm going to answer that question tonight in just a second. All right, so checking connection. It's been a long day. I've had to use my voice a lot over the past couple of days, so I hope that I'm talking loud enough for everybody. I hope everybody can see me good. Let's expand this sucker. The kids are upstairs. The house is quiet. You might see one or two walking back this way. Hey, girl. Hi. I will see you in the morning. Hey, hey. Ashley. Oh, my kids joined me from Instagram. I'll try to keep it PG uh, 13 just for you. Hey, babies. Coley's kids on Instagram. My babies are watching me from their page. That's so cool. All right, so a few of you have asked, mostly in a couple of flight attendant groups that I'm in, including two that I founded. One is called Flight Attendant Black Girl Magic Flight Attendant Edition. That is a group for African American women flight attendants, and then another one called Single Moms in the Sky. So those two are my groups. A few have asked there. And then personally, if you have asked and I haven't really answered, I have to be ready to tell my story. Hey, girl, hey, yes, see you in the AM at GMZ, AME. Shout out to GMZ. So, and one or two have sent me the question, and I feel like you were just being shady, and that's all right. That's cool. That's what's up. Thanks for asking. Either way, somebody was like, "I thought you were a corporate flight attendant," and I mean, honestly, I could feel the vibe all the way through the inbox because some of y'all are just messy. I was and I wasn't, and this was very short lived, and this was a hot mess experience that happened this summer. So I'm ready to talk about everything that I recall and share it with you guys. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'll start out with. It's just so funny how all things are connected. A couple days ago, I was preparing for an assessment and having some conversations with a European airline, and I met a flight attendant for a regional carrier named Zach. Hi, Zach. I hope you see this. I think we follow each other on something. I don't know. But he told me that this particular company, I'll give you a hint of who they are. I love putting on makeup and doing contour. I'm going to leave it there. But this particular airline, he said that he was looking for an opportunity to be a corporate flight attendant, and he saw them advertising for White Plains, New York, and a few other areas. And so he put in the same application I did several months ago prior to the summer. And that he immediately got an email invitation to join a Zoom interview. Now, all of you guys that are already flight attendants and have experience, that when you apply for any airline, you don't get an interview right away. It's a series of things that happens. And if you guys want to be a flight attendant, pay attention to some of this because it's stuff that you're going to want to know. I mean, it's like I don't even know. It's actually not even just like applying to go to college, because you apply to get into college, you put in your app, you know, what is it? You write your, I'm tired, you guys. What is it called? You write your essay, blah, 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 and you're going to get an acceptance or denial. It's not like that with airlines. You got to put in your application, your resume, cover letter, all that. If they're interested, you're going to get an initial assessment. And then there's a series of other things. Sometimes it could be several assessments. There's going to be a first interview. And usually, sometimes that's going to be an interview that's not even in front of anybody. You're just being recorded. And there's a series of interviews. And even then, if you get invited to training, don't get comfortable because you still haven't got the job. You still have to prove yourself because you got to pass training. It's that deep. So he applied to this particular airline, very small. We'll call it a boutique mom and pop. Um, and he got an email immediately to come to basically what is an FTF, or a face to face. The face to face is the final step. So how did you skip everything else and just that's it, a face to face with no other assessments? So that was red flag for him. And he was like, okay, something's not right about this. He didn't even go to the Zoom, guys. He didn't even go to the Zoom because he was like, it was just something about that was fishy for him. And you know, if it's too easy to get, you're kind of like, what's the catch? What's the catch? And so he skipped it. He didn't go. And then the next day, after the Zoom, he got an email CJO. So CJO stands for conditional job offer. So he called up a couple of his friends, and he knows a lot more in aviation because he's been flying much longer than I have. Um, and he was like, hey, I just got a CJO from this boutique mom and pop airline, and this is just something is just weird about this. It's the pay was, when I tell you the pay was banging, or at least the pay that they purport to give you, banging, which is why I applied months ago. And plus, I really wanted to be a corporate flight attendant. We'll get into that. We'll get there. So so the few people that he spoke with, they actually had inside knowledge. I didn't know anyone. I wish, guys, I wish I had known people who could have told me what, was told to him months ago. And I didn't know him then. I wish I did. And so they basically gave him everything, all the details he needed to know. They spilled that tea from head to toe, like doused him in the tea, the hot scalding tea. And he was like, oh, hell no. So he didn't even bother rejecting the offer. He just ignored it all and was like, I'm not doing this. No, just delete, and kept it moving and stayed with his regional airline. Now that tells you a lot. If somebody decides it's better for me to stay with my regional airline, not putting down a regional. It's a all positions as a flight attendant, no matter who you're working for, it's all respectable. And you all have to go through the same FAR training in order to earn your wings. So if you earn them, you earn them, no matter who you work with. So let me just put that out there for you messy heifers, male and female, that might try to twist my words. But it does say something significant if a person decides, I'm going to stay with my regional, and I am not skipping over to this corporate flight attendant position with this particular so-called I'm trying to be careful with my words here. I didn't script this out. I did not script this out. But with this so-called company that's supposed to be elite and flies people who are rich and famous and flew the Obamas and flew Mariah Carey and all of these things. He was like, no. After what I heard from very reputable sources, I am staying put with my regional, and I'll just continue to look for other opportunities. This is not the one for me. I wish I'd had the opportunity to do the same. So we'll rewind, go back in time to where my journey began with this company. The first airline that I work with, I will say this: the training was phenomenal, but my experience with them and their operation was very less than excellent, and they are incredibly abusive to their not only their passengers, but their employees. And this is from a lot of flight attendants to the gate agents. Their gate agents are the worst. You guys, lots of you have seen who it is. I will not say the name, not because I'm afraid of them, but because the name doesn't even deserve to grace my lips with the experience that I had with them. And I will do a series of videos about my experience with that company when I'm ready later on and when I have the time, and I don't right now. Hi, how you doing, Chef? Hey, Chef Drummer in the house. I wish I could see who's on my Facebook, and I can't. But if you're watching on Facebook, drop a comment so we can keep the conversation going and I can acknowledge you. I see that people are viewing, but I can't see who you are. This is my first time using this on the Facebook from my MacBook, so bear with me. I don't do this a lot. I just do it when I can, and I just happen to have a quiet moment now. So I continued to look for better opportunities for me to fly for a company that I would feel proud to be a part of. after just some really disappointing and even heartbreaking experiences with the company. I will say this: the way that they handled me during my pregnancy and miscarriage was absolutely abhorrent. It really was. And it hurt. For me to sacrifice and invest so much to earn my wings as a single mom of four. And when I tell you, the way I passed all of my assessments, written, physical, and everything, I kicked ass up in there. I did not come to play no games. I did not. And I know I did well. And I know I made them look better than they deserved all the time. And the way that they treated me and other people, I am very happy that this company will be coming to an end and somebody else is buying them. I am overjoyed about that. That feels like karma to me. Whew, okay, let me move on. So I decided there's no way I'm giving up this career that I fought so hard to begin. I'm just going to look for a better opportunity. I already have my wings, I already have my training. I'm going to take it somewhere else. Okay, that's what you do. When you have your credentials and you don't like where you're at, bust a move and keep moving on and up. So that's what I've been doing. So I saw an opportunity to become a corporate flight attendant, which was one of my long-term goals, and it was with a company based out of Tennessee. And they were advertising at that time only one position that was for corporate flight attendant out of White Plains, New York, which is less than 2 hours from me, north of me, for a very, very amazing salary. I will say this: their salary, the base salary, is 10,000 more than what the big three pay you as your starting out base salary. So, I mean, that's that's a yeah, that's a yeah. And so for those of you who know, you know. So starting there and starting out as having a line, being a corporate flight attendant, being trained to have that level of service, it's a dream. It's a dream, and so many flight attendants try to go for those opportunities. I was one of them, and at the time, it was the only company that I saw offering that opportunity. So I applied, and it was. And keep in mind, it was only for one position, not regular, but corporate. That's what I applied for. So I noticed I get invited also to a face to face, and I thought that was weird. But I kept looking around. I kept looking online and asking everyone I know, "Have you heard of this company?" I'm gonna call it the makeup company. And if you saw the beginning of the video, you'll know why I said the makeup company. So I kept asking, and no one could answer it. No one really heard of it. I've got a cousin who works for FAA, and he said he heard of it, and that all he knows is that it's a small boutique mom and pop shop. And he did caution me. He said a lot of the shops like that, a lot of the mom and pop shops like that, we have issues as it pertains to their safety and the flight attendants' level of preparedness to actually be out there operating aircraft. Remember, he said that. Long story longer. It's gonna be a while, so you guys might want to catch the whole. If you want to catch the whole thing on YouTube, I will drop links to my YouTube and all that stuff later on, because that's where this will go later, or come back and replay this from here as well. So I also got an invitation to a interview. And in that interview, I wound up meeting two new friends who are still good friends to this day. So nothing is lost in the journey. Nothing's ever lost in the journey. I made two incredible new friends, and one of them, she used to fly for Norwegian, which actually that wound up being another door opener for me later on down the road as well. So guys, nothing is truly a waste of time. I'll say that. You know, everything is zigzag, and everything. All things work together, right? All things work together. You know when I say that. So I also got pretty much immediately offered the job. But then I noticed when I looked at the offer, it was not what I applied for. But I was like, okay, maybe the wording is a little different, maybe. And I was just so excited and probably just not paying attention to the fine print. I was so excited to take it because when I tell you this was more than double, almost triple what I was getting with my first airline. And they were offering a corporate credit card. And again, I'm going to be flying on private jets and this and that. This is what I'm thinking. And I'm about to, this training is about to be bananas. Look at what I'm going to be able to do for my babies with this. This is going to get me faster to building my new home, blah, blah, blah. I'm going for it. Sign the bottom line, sign the dotted line, because I know what I applied for and I got this offer. I would look around on social media and in flight attendant groups, and I continued to look for details, really couldn't find anything. And then I came across a post from 2019 from a senior mama, a senior mama FA, who said, run. This company is trash. Her exact words in the beginning of her post was messy, messy, messy. She went on to tell a long story about how messy and how disheveled, how disorganized they are, and how just trashy the company is. And I'm like, well, this was 2019, several years ago. Maybe they've had a chance to really expand and change. I looked at some of their social media and branding. It looks like they're really trying. So I'm going to stick with this because I had another offer, guys. I am always keeping my resume out there and I'm always keeping my options open. So I had another offer from a company not too much better than the first one, but still better and paying a smidge more than what I was getting with the last one. And so it was still going to be a very tiny step up, but still a step up. I let that offer go for this one. Now, I hope my babies aren't watching when I say damn. But I let it go for this one. And I noticed we were supposed to have a Zoom call, two question and answer calls, because me and several other people, one of them, a friend named Oliver, I won't say his last name, but he was voicing some of the same concerns that I had. But he had sense enough not to show up, and I still went. I still went. But he also still had his regional airline job, and I was no longer with an airline at all. So I'm like, okay, I got to see this thing through. But he had some of the same concerns, and I found out so many other people did as well. I found out that I was bamboozled, and although I applied for one position, they they awarded me with another position that was not corporate flight attendant for well under $10,000 less than what I was getting paid, and then tried to ask me to settle for that. When I complained about this to someone, I talked to a base manager where they were trying to send me. She actually literally said to me, well, can you just help us out for a little while and just stay in this position for a year because we really need some help and we really need somebody to come to this base. So I'm like, wait a minute. You guys bait and switched and lied to me, and you expect me to just roll with it? So I apply for this, and you give me this, and I'm supposed to just be like, okay, you lied. You flat out lied to me. Oh, but it gets better. There were so many instances with this company. Before arriving to training, we're supposed to have two question and answer sessions. We had one with a woman. Oh, I'm trying to think of what to call her. I'll call her Collector. That's close enough to her name, Collector. So she held a Zoom call, and I noticed that there was something really arrogant and pompous about the way that she spoke to someone. But you know, whatever. Personalities are different. I don't care. Whatever personality you have, I'm just gonna stick to the facts and do my job and just not be phased by it. Everybody doesn't mesh well with other people. But there was just this nonchalance she had about a lot of things. First of all, she showed up well over 5 minutes late, as well as showing up late to this interview session we were supposed to have. Red flag, red flag, red flag. And you know, working in aviation, to be early is to be on time, and that is for everything. Because how you show up to stuff is how you gonna show up to everything. Okay? So she shows up, and she fails to answer all of our questions and cuts it off about halfway through and says, we're gonna have another one because this one's getting too long. Never had the other one. And we've got a lot of legit questions. This is our lives you're playing with. You know, our money, our kids, our lives. We have to exit all of our life and be gone for at least a month, you know, to be away for training and then for our OE and everything before we come back to our home and begin to work. And so things need to be tight. We need to have a clear understanding of things. We did not. I still went ahead and saw it through because even though they lied to me about the offer, it was still a lot more than what I was getting with my first airline. So I'm like, you know what, this is crappy. I'm just going to keep all my options open and keep applying for other things. I already know I'm not going to stay here. I know I'm not going to stay here either way, but let me just go ahead and stick with it for now until the next door opens up, which may be less money, but still better quality overall. So as we're preparing to leave for training to fly to Tennessee, we get an email that says for the almost, it was like 15, 16 of us, or something like that. No. That's not right. Because it was 3 cars, and I think it was three to 4 people per car. So let's just say it was 9 people, but I think it was more than that. We have rented 3 cars for the 3 of you, and we've randomly assigned it to 3 different people. Work it out. Here's a list of everybody's names and numbers. Work it out amongst yourselves as to who's going to get what car from the airport and how you guys are going to get from the airport to the hotel. So now all these strangers have my telephone number. Not okay. Not okay. Total violation. And also, you guys are not organized enough to make sure that you've made proper arrangements for all of us to get from our airport to our hotel. That's the least you can do. It was so chaotic. It was so chaotic. The person who was renting one of the cars that I was reaching out to, because she was flying from where I was flying from, so that made sense for me to reach out to her. She wasn't answering any of my text messages and calls until the night before, and she told me the reason why is because she decided, with all of the chaos that's already been happening with terrible communication and everything else, she said, I am backing out and I will just sit my butt at home and just not be a flight attendant until I get a better offer. I'm so sorry, Nicole. You're going to have to figure it out for yourself, how you're going to get, when the plane lands, who else you're going to get with, and how you're going to get to the hotel. Best of luck to you. So, wow. Two people now who decided. Hey, hey, hi, India. Um, so for those of you that are just joining, I'm talking about my particular experience as a corporate flight attendant, or almost, that lasted less than a month. Yes, honey.
Am I allowed to log into the Instagram account
You
now?
guid already did.
I didn't.
All right. So I'm busy. So I'll talk with you. Well, I just saw Coley's kids pop up on my
That was
Instagram.
Kaden.
Okay.
I didn't log
We'll join with hers. Okay. All right. So I'm busy. Give me a few. Okay.
in. She's using my account.
Okay. All right. So I wound up reaching out to several other people and just figuring out like who was gonna, and we were all arriving within two different days. It was 2 days of arrivals from all over, and so many different times as well. So some people would have to wait hours after their plane lands for another person so that they can all carpool together, get the car together, and then get to the hotel. Oh, also gas. We had no idea how we were going to gas up the cars. First of all, I don't pay to work, so I'm not paying for a dime of gas in these cars. I'll put it on a corporate credit card. You can reimburse me up front, but I don't pay. I don't care how much money I have or don't have. To you guys, I don't have it. I don't have it because I don't pay to work. Period. I do not pay to work. You pay me. So all these things are your responsibility to have handled up front. Period. So, um, and I spoke to someone, and she landed several hours before me. She waited, had somebody else wait as well. When I arrived, I met her at the rental car, and then we drove the long drive from the airport to our hotel. So then we get an email letting us know, welcome to Smyrna, Tennessee, blah blah blah. When I arrive at the hotel, I'm getting ready to check in. Mind you, this is not my first rodeo when it comes to working for an airline and hotel and all that stuff. So, you guys, if you know, you know. I get ready to check into my training hotel, and the lady goes, okay, that'll be some number. And she waits for me to give her my credit card. I'm like, excuse me, come again? Come again? She goes, oh, yeah, you have to pay for the incidentals for the month that you're going to be here. I said, oh, no, ma'am, I will not. I said, no, I don't. This is on the corporate's accounts. So corporate can handle this. And she goes, okay, well, they did not take care of this. And so as far as we're concerned, you all have to pay for it. So all the other trainees, because most of them were brand new and had no experience at all. They'd never been, they were not already flight attendants, period. So they had no idea. They actually paid a fee. They actually paid a fee. So I said, I'm going to have a seat here in the lobby, ma'am, and I'm going to give you a moment to call, to call the makeup airline, and you guys sort this out, and let me know when my room is ready, or when my suite is ready. So I have a seat, and while she's doing that, I call the collector, as well, and I say to her, hey, they're asking me for a certain amount of money. I don't care if it was $10, I'm not going to pay it. And I said, of course, I didn't say it like that, but I did say to her, they're requiring that I pay a certain fee. However, I'm sure there's got to be some sort of an issue, discrepancy, or some confusion. So I'm just letting you know that this needs to be handled so that I can get into my suite. My plane just landed. It's been hours. I'm ready. I'm ready to rest and get ready for training to begin tomorrow. She sucks her teeth and she sighs, and you can tell that she is annoyed with me. I don't care. I don't care. Handle your business correctly. And she says, give me about 30 minutes and I'll call you back. So, a couple of, 20 minutes or so, whatever passes. It wasn't that long of a wait, which it should not have happened at all. And I get a call back from her saying everything's squared away. And then I get ready to check into the room. And the lady apologizes to me. And I also find out that I had a whole apartment suite. Everybody else had a regular room. I don't know how that happened, but whatever. I'll take the favor. And so that was that. I mean, just so many things happened even before day one of training. So I'm going to fast forward and say that training was a hot mess. The manual was poorly written. Myself, as well as two other flight attendants in there who have already come from other airlines and already know what FARs are. We know what federal aviation regulations are, and you can look this up as a civilian. You can look these things up. They are public knowledge. The trainer was saying things that was against federal aviation regulations, and when we would call her on this and say, "Hey, this is not correct. According to FAR, blah blah blah, this is not correct," and she would say, "Well, you don't need to worry about that. We're updating our manual." This is people's lives you're playing with. Yeah, we do need to worry about it. Everything that's done needs to be done right. So I quickly became a problem in class because of that. And then also, there was a lot of times that we were sitting in training, literally sitting there with nothing to do, and she'd be gone, or she'd be sitting there texting her boyfriend, which she told us about her boyfriend being in town to visit her in her hotel room and all that stuff. I mean, one time we got to class, and the most egregious thing that she ever did was one time when we all showed up to class, and she was like 2 hours later something saying she didn't feel well, and she didn't even bother to give us an official notice that she wasn't going to be there. She texted one of the kids, one of the young boys that was in our class, and texted him only and said, "Tell everybody else I'm going to be running late." When I tell you, this whole operation was a hot mess. A hot mess. She was so unrefined. She was so ignorant. It was a mess. The whole thing was a mess, and it was a hot, unsafe mess. You know, you're bragging about how you let some of your celebrity clients treat you any kind of way. You let them smoke weed on the plane. This ain't stuff I heard. This is stuff I witnessed. And I'm sitting here, and two other people, which one of them she also left, and one of them she stayed, and she still flies with them, and that's cool. That's good for you. I'm sure she's going to operate the aircraft well and not allow a lot of the mess that happens with other people. She won't. But then there was also things talking about how you're going to get used to this dog and that dog, and as you're conducting service, it's okay. They can stay in the middle of the aisle because these people are rich. They can do whatever they want to do. You just have to learn how to just walk around or step over. How unsafe is that? Oh, also, another flight attendant that was supposed to be giving us an observation flight, talking about how nonchalant they are. Uh-oh. So my Instagram just paused due to connection. Talked about how nonchalant they are as an organization. Uh, Paused again, reconnecting. I want to make sure it's because I'm not sure which one I'm going to save. So, but there was another flight attendant who's been there for quite some time. She talked about how nonchalant they are as an operation. It's okay. They just let the flight deck door stay open so that you can kind of hang out in flight with the captain and just kind of have access like that. Does 9/11 not mean anything to you people? The flight deck door always remains closed. I don't care if you are Obama. I don't care if you are, I don't know, somebody that you just think is just so amazing who should have all access to everything. There's some things that nobody gets all access to, and the flight deck door, that's one of those things for a freaking reason. Whew. So I had already decided, maybe halfway through training, you know what, you people aren't going to kill me. And God bless the rest of you kids who are going to stick here because this is the best job that you may ever have, whatever. You know what, that's cool. The money and the credit card, perks and stuff, you know what, it's not worth it because you guys aren't going to kill me. I'll tell you the biggest lesson I learned from being with that company. Now I understand why Aaliyah died. Now I understand why rich celebrities will die in plane crashes because there's when you're in a situation with too much autonomy and you think that your access gives you wealth, that your wealth can give you access to go around rules that are there and boundaries that are established and federal aviation regulations that are established to keep you alive. It's our job to make sure that we hold the line no matter what because we know more than what you know. And because we know more, we have more responsibility. So sometimes you got to tell people when they act like a baby or whatever because they don't understand what we understand. You have to say no. And you need to be responsible enough and you need to be professional enough, excuse me, to say no and to stick to your codes and your regulations, because it's our job to keep people alive and to keep people safe. And that particular company has a culture that has been around way too long of just not caring at all. And the only thing that I can do is to write a letter to the FAA about that and keep it moving and just pray. And to tell people don't fool with them. And I just wonder if their CEO knows about this, because the very few times that I encountered him, it just seemed like he would not be the caliber of a person that would go for this. But he's got a vice president of in flight who is a Cruella, and she is a terrible human being, and she has so much ego that she would not allow other people on her staff to make things better because she is more important than the operation. Another example of her is when we were all sitting in an all staff meeting with all of the flight attendants, and flight attendants who have been there and dedicated to this company and vision for years, voiced their concerns and voiced the fact that they are fatigued, they're flying fatigued, which is not safe, that they are underpaid, that they are overworked, that they're working up to 6 legs a day. Again, if you know, you know. Oh, hell no. And this woman actually said, and again, I'm not saying what I heard, I'm saying what I witnessed. She actually said to them, to their freaking face, in a video Teams call, well, you can be glad, no, grateful. She said, well, you can be grateful that you have a job. I knew right then and there. I knew right then and there that as soon as another airline called, I was out. I was out. I was out. And I probably wasn't going to operate not one flight, not with them, because I didn't trust any of them. Even when we did our observation flight, here's another thing I recall. We did our observation flight, and for those of us who already know what we know, it really wasn't a big deal. But for those kids who had no experience and this was their first time ever learning about operating a flight, and you're supposed to be watching and observing a flight attendant who is senior and who does things well and by the book, we watched her from beginning to end, and she missed so many steps. And she was so nonchalant about it. And she would see my eyebrows go up like, oh, word? Like, and then I would ask questions like, what is this safety equipment? And what is this? What is, and she couldn't even, and then I said, what about these chimes? What's this chime for and that? And she couldn't even answer some of those questions. And then she kept her response to me and another flight attendant who knew was no judgment. This is a judgment free zone. Girl, if you don't get the entire hell out of here, it's good judgment that keeps people alive. You should not be here. So I've said enough. I've said enough for now. My experience with that company was so disappointing. I'm still not quite sure if I'm grateful for it. It was eye opening for me. I will say that. I'm still not sure that I'm grateful for it. The money was awesome from day one. The two checks I got after I left were also great, great. But it's not. All money ain't good money, and it was not worth my safety and my integrity. And then y'all not about to kill me. I'm coming home safe to my babies after every trip. Y'all not about to kill me. Nope. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Sorry, not sorry. They were that terrible. I've never experienced. I have never experienced an operation that horrible. And the thing that's interesting is the first airline that I worked for, I thought that they were a drag. And operationally, they are absolute poop. They are absolute poop in the sky. But when it comes to safety, I can't take anything from them. I cannot. Their safety and their training was amazing. It was. Other things didn't live up to it. My quality of life with them, I was definitely lacking in some areas. But overall, the worst airline ever in the entire world that I have ever seen. And anytime a flight attendant will ask me about them, I will say the same thing that lady said in 2019. Run like hell. Because anytime you got somebody whose ego is more important than operation and equity and equality and everything else, oh, that's a setup for failure for that person and everybody around them. There's a reason why she got fired or whatever, and then I don't know why they brought her back, but whatever. Yeah, all bad, all bad. So here I am. I am home. I am still grounded, and I actually have several offers that will begin in September. I consider it a blessing to know that I continue to improve myself and to stay sharp and to continue to keep my resume out there, keep doors open. I am grateful for every single door that is open, and I'm grateful for options. I'm grateful for options, and I have several of them. And I still continue to work my business and do other things. I was out there being a brand ambassador over the weekend. I'm always working. Shoot, I don't know. Maybe I'm part Jamaican or something. I got 18 jobs, but I got 18 kids, so I don't have a choice. But as of right now, I'm still not flying with a carrier. But I'm looking forward to. There is one, the last airline that I met with. It is a European carrier. So you guys keep your fingers crossed. I'm hoping that in the next week or two that I will hear something from them. And if I do, then all the American offers I have, I'm looking forward to sending them an email and saying thank you so much for the opportunity. God bless you. However, I will have to decline. That is what I'm hoping, that by the end of September I'll be able to do that. But either way it goes, the end of September, beginning of October, I'm looking forward and prepared to wear my wings again and to continue serving as a flight attendant, serving myself and my household and my children, and also serving the world. So that's my story about my 5 minutes of being a corporate flight attendant almost. And you know what? If it's a goal, and if it's God's will, it'll be God's bill, and God will make that happen. I don't think that God will put any God given desire or dream in your heart and in your mind that you cannot live out. So it obviously was not meant to happen with them. It will happen at some point somewhere else if it's God's will, right? All right. I guess I've got some more business to handle here at this desk. And then I'm going to try to take a little nap, because whenever Dave gets in from his gigs, I try to make sure that I am slightly awake and fresh and stuff, so that we can actually have a conversation and some quality time and I don't just snore on him. So, yeah, all that. Love and hugs to all of you. And if you don't know, I'm Nicole Lawson. I am a singer, actor, public speaker, published author, brand ambassador, flight attendant, and my website is NicoleLawson.com. And I love to use everything that I am to make people feel better about themselves, inspire people to show up in a healthier way, and to tell my stories to inspire people, and also when the opportunity presents itself, share some opportunities for people to work with me and make some money with me doing some of the things that I do. So if you want to know more about me, go to NicoleLawson.com. Bye bye.